Tell me why. Tell me why. I never experienced it before because I wasn't sure people actually. I mean, I guess it's a regular thing, but people ship things that are alive, right? And
I have a good story for this.
dude, okay, cool. So my coworker was like, "Hey, come look at this. Come look at this truck. Like, come look at what's on this truck." I'm like, "Okay,
Oh,
well, I'll come
shit.
look." I go over there and he's like, "Look in that bag," and there's a bunch of shit just crawling around in the bag.
Ew.
Tiny little things. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? And he said they're crickets, but like the box that was holding these crickets, I guess like exploded or some shit. Like it fucking
Ugh.
just like got destroyed.
So they're everywhere?
They're everywhere. They're fucking everywhere, bro. On top of boxes, on the floor, on everywhere. And since that wasn't my truck, I was like, damn, like that sucks. And I'm going back to my truck. Like, I'm not gonna deal with it. And
Oh
then like
my
30
God.
minutes later, they put me on that truck. Cause I finished my shit, and he's like, oh, just like go help out whoever. And I'm like, nah, like quit playing.
Wait, when you work, do you wear short sleeve, long sleeve? Like
I was
what?
wearing a short sleeve.
So I could potentially touch you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure like potentially one was like on me, but I'm telling you they were everywhere and they were alive. Some were dead, and some were like on the brink of fucking death. Like some of them were like quivering and shit because I'm guessing like of the heat. But most
Yeah.
of them were alive, and I grew up playing outside and being outside, but playing with bugs and shit like that's just not.
You
it's
never
not
did
something
that.
I did that. So I was so uncomfortable in that truck because I'm just so worried about touching one of the crickets or like one of them hopping on me or something.
Yeah.
And yeah. I
That's
don't know.
nasty.
Dude.
So I have this
Fucking
good
gross.
story. Back when I was in high school, I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore, and I was taking this coding class. It was more of like it wasn't really coding. It was like Illustrator and Photoshop. It was one of those. And it was a blow off class for the upperclassmen, but for me, like I took it very seriously. I was one of the very few girls in the classes. I was either like the one or two girls in the class. And this is funny because this guy ended up being like my best friend from back home. Like it's her fiance now. So back then, he had no idea who I was. He was an upperclassman, and I'm over here trying to like do my work, whatever, and the teacher's trying to teach, and I feel so bad for her. Her name was Miss Morgan. I told her a story about her before, about how I emailed her after graduation, and I was like, hey, like I actually pursued this career, but. So I felt really bad for her because everyone would just fuck around and they wouldn't really take her seriously. And she would always have to just be yelling at everyone and like, hey, like pay attention, whatever. So I'm just like, can you guys shut the fuck up? Like I'm trying to actually do the class. So this one time we were either like studying for a test or doing a project. And they would never do the work. They would like fuck around and Photoshop a bunch of stupid shit, which was really funny in hindsight. But this one time the teacher walked over some shit and they were literally buying live snakes on the computer. They're like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, we're buying live snakes. And we were like, what the fuck? And they were so excited about it. And she was pissed.
Sube el volumen.
Hautbox.
Tiene algo enorme para ti.
Si te ofrecen droga, te van a decir que se siente bien padre, que te vas a reír.
See, like that's the thing. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew you could ship this type of stuff, but like I didn't know it happened so regularly. Like apparently, people also ship like a whole bees hive full of bees. That shit's crazy to me. But,
It's
in a
pretty
whole ass
expensive,
truck.
I feel like.
Bet. I fucking bet.
But I mean, with the crickets and shit, like I feel like people have to do that because of their pets, like
Right.
whatever
For, like
pets they
frogs
have,
and shit like that.
frogs or like lizards and shit like that. So, I mean, you could go to the pet store and do that, but when there's Amazon or whatever, or when there's like people that can ship them to you, like fuck it. Yeah.
I like that you took it was a digital imaging. Is that what the
Or
class
something
was
like
called?
that, yeah.
I took a class like that, I think like junior year, maybe senior year. But I took it very serious. That was like the start of my like Photoshop like career, I guess. And like I took it very serious, and like my friends, I had a lot of good friends in that class, and we one of our assignments for the like our final was to make any kind of video, and we shot a fucking movie. Like we went all out. We went all over the school. Like we had like a whole like thing played out for it. It was crazy. But I'm glad that you brought that up because last 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you mentioned how it was more like part of one of the questions you had said that like how your art has developed over the years. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you basically just like where did it all start for you? Like where was it, like where did your art stem from? Like do you remember your first piece? Like and how has it basically grown over these past like what, 10 years?
I guess like, are you also asking when my passion started, if you will?
If you want to start with that.
Because I was actually doing some in-depth of like, was it really high school when I really chose what I wanted to do? And I was really thinking about it, and I think it almost goes back to me on MySpace. Because
Really?
yes, because I loved the entire idea of everything being so customizable, where it's like I can, this was back then when any image was fucking free for all, you know? And I would put all these images on my MySpace profile, the layouts, like just making everything so fucking crazy and
Oh,
outrageous.
you had the gangbanger SpongeBob. I know you.
Stop, dude, not the gangsters. No, I was more of a gangster Bugs Bunny. But there was that. It was like having like the crazy cursor and like just all this other shit. And I was like, damn, this shit is so fucking cool. And then when they changed it to like the beta version of the newer layout, I was like, fuck this.
They took
But
all that away, like all
they
the
took a
customizable stuff.
lot of the like customizable features away to where, you know how like MySpace or Facebook had a very already set profile where it was like your friends were on one side and like
Yeah.
all of that. So that was pretty much it. You couldn't change that. You could change your background still, but you couldn't change the placements of stuff. And I was like, damn, that's kind of boring. But for the most part, I think all of that stuff and like learning very basic code where it's like, yeah, I like this layout, but I want it to be this color, and going in and like actually changing the color and stuff. Like that to me was very fun. So when I got to high school and noticed that like, oh, this is where you learn the real shit, you know? Like this is where you learn how to do like the coding where you understand more. And I was like, damn, this shit is cool. Because it reminded me a lot of like MySpace and stuff. So I would say that's kind of where
it all started.
Stem
And that
from.
was like middle school.
That was like middle school. Like I was like 12. But my MySpace was hard. Stop. I finally logged into it. Did you know that?
I saw you put that in the
Fuck, yeah.
Discord.
Yeah, those pictures are going to be forever unreleased because that was ugly, but it was fun. But
Dude, Discord is gonna bully you into fucking
fuck
posting those
no.
photos.
No one can bully me into any of that shit. Hell no. But I guess going back to your original question about how my first, like, I guess, processes, I guess, at the beginning have changed over time. I was never really much of one specific thing. Like, you know, like some people are just painters, just illustrators, or like whatever. I never wanted to just do one thing because then I felt like that was putting me in a box where it was like, I can't do anything other than that. And if I do, like, you know, people are going to call me like whatever. And I also just didn't want to just do one thing. That's extremely boring because then what?
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I think I started really with like illustration, and it's something that's kind of the work that I put out, but it's not the only thing that I do. I do other stuff, I just don't really put that out. And it's probably just very personal for me. And then, yeah, I mean, stuff like that. Over the years, I have developed a lot more skills for other stuff that I feel like with the stuff that I started with, I now have the knowledge and stuff to do cooler, bigger shit, you know? So I guess with like pad printing and like relief printing, that was like a pretty big step for me to do when I was just illustrating, and now I can make this into like a physical like thing. And now I have like the tools and stuff to do that better than I did before. So it's just like stuff like that. But I really do want to get more into doing physical because I've just been doing digital because it's the easiest thing for me for like on the go. And now I want to do more of like physical stuff. I want to do installations. Like I want to do big things.
That'd be sick.
You know? And my sister, she's getting married next year. And she wants to have this like beautiful like floral arrangement stuff for her like centerpieces and stuff, and I was like, dude, let me do it.
Aww.
And she was like, go ahead. So hopefully, because I love plants, as you can see, so I think it'd be really fun.
The air in here is very crisp.
Thank you. But I guess stuff like that, you know.
So I guess in terms of style, has it always kind of been the same? Like, where does that all, like, if you had, because I know I don't even want to box you into like a certain style, because I know your style isn't necessarily one style. Because like these, for example, was a lot different than those 3 pieces that you had.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's not just one style. So
And like when I posted the series of 3 stuff, like the 3 pieces, if you guys go on the Instagram, I did a while ago like a 3-part series of these surrealist, they're like illustrations, but also what do you call it when you do collages? Yeah, so when I did those, I remember I put out a caption in one of them, and I was like, you know, basically explaining, hey, I've always tried to figure out what my style is and like putting a name to it. And it's like, I just didn't want to do that. Like, I just do whatever because I can, you know? So that's, I guess what you're saying, like, oh, like your style or whatever. It's just whatever.
right.
But if I had to put a name to it, I would just say cute shit. I just make cute shit. I remember before I would try to make very serious pieces and stuff, and always thinking I had to put like meaning behind stuff, where it was like I can just make stuff to make it, and that's fine. And I think that's a lot. I think people have to remember that when creating, where it was like everything doesn't have to have this deeper meaning and reason and stuff. Just fucking do whatever you want, you know? So, yeah.
When do you feel like you're the most, I guess, like, not inspired, but just like, you know, you get into that flow of just, let's say, illustrating? Like, do you have to do something in the morning in order to get yourself prepared, or is it just like randomly throughout the day?
I would say it's like randomly, at least for me, to just like, hey, you know what? I have this idea that just randomly popped in. Let me just do it really quick. And then I could go and redo it or whatever. But just having it get put out, you know, I saw this really good, I don't even know if it was a tweet or a post or what, but it was by this guy that I know. It was a Ruben. The guy I did my internship with. He was saying that you have to take the opportunity when it presents itself, because opportunities are ever going. You know, if it misses you, it misses you and it won't come back. So you have to take it when you get the chance, because it'll just go to the next person and they'll do it when you could have done it at the time, you know?
I saw a video that explained it kind of the same concept, but they were like these ideas come as thoughts because that thought left someone else's head and now it's coming into your head, and if you don't act on it, it's gonna leave your head and the next person's gonna act on it.
Right.
So
when like
that's
you
cool to
didn't know
think.
the potential you had when you got that idea
Right.
and how big it could have gone. So that's usually why I'm just like, let's just fucking get it out there now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever fleeing.
Would you say you put out like a majority of your stuff?
No.
Really?
No. I think I only put out stuff that I'm really, really passionate about. But other stuff that I'm just like, oh, these are okay, but like I don't really care to put them out. That's when I just like leave them alone. Maybe if I were to revisit them and make them better, if you will, then I would probably put them out. But if not, because I feel like you're never truly done with something. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had a project where you're just like, yeah, this is good, but it needs more?
Yeah, no, that all the fucking time. Like when I'm going back to the video that we had put out for the season 2 trailer, there was like I think it was like 30 seconds long or a minute long. That video that we put out. Going back to it now, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, dude, like I could have done this so much better. Like this sound design could have been so much better. This coloring could have been so much better. Everything about it to me was just like,
Yeah.
like I'm kind of over it now. I want to move on to the next thing.
Right.
So
and
that's,
now, see, I think that's the beauty of certain things like that, where you give yourself that feedback, if you will, and you're just like, oh, I wish I would have done that with this. Now I'm going to do it for the next one. And the next one that you do is going to be sicker, you know? So
Hopefully.
I think I'm excited to see what other ones you do, because people fucked with that one hard. You know, they're just like, oh, I love this. We had really good feedback on it. So I was just like, dude, like Jason did his thing. And I can't wait to see what else you do. How much more you can do with what you know now after like putting that out.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see, I don't know, I guess the direction of, let's say we go all year again for season 3, and then season 3 comes out. Like, does that have a whole different, like, does season 3 have a whole different feeling now that we're a whole year older? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're in a whole different part in our lives in another year. So, like,
Right.
is that video just going to be completely different than this video? Maybe. Because I feel like that video is the way I live my life. Very much, I'm doing something all
Very
day.
routine.
Very routine, and it's, I'm constantly just doing something. And so that video basically just reflected the way I currently live.
I think it'll be really interesting to see a year from now, you still having a routine, just having it be completely different.
Dude, that'd
maybe
be sick.
and maybe in a different setting, maybe different things with different people. Like, I'm excited.
That'd be sick. I love routine. And I think having a different routine is what keeps me going, if that makes sense. Because I hate getting stuck into the same routine. Oh my god, that shit's so boring to me. If I do shit for more than like 2 months, if I'm like one routine for more than 2 months, I get very bored and almost like paralyzed. I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I need to do something different, or else I just feel stuck and I'm not moving on in my personal life.
Right. So actually, I saw this TikTok earlier today, and it was this guy basically explaining setting yourself up for future long-term gratification, where a lot of times you're stuck in this loop and you want to get out, like depression, if you will. And it's like you do things for instant gratification, like going shopping or eating junk food, shit like that, where it's like you're gonna feel good, or like staying in bed, like you're gonna feel good now, you know, and then when it's gone, you're gonna feel paralyzed, right? Where if you set yourself up with a routine and you do things little by little to have not instant gratification, but the long-term gratification, where it was like, now you sleep a little bit earlier and you feel better the next day. You feel more energized. And it's just like stuff like that, adding little things into your routine where you get that long term and you feel good, that's when it doesn't become paralyzing and you can hone in on what it is you like and what it is that you don't like for yourself, you know?
Okay, so how to somebody who doesn't have a routine, and let's say there's okay. Let me just set up a situation for you, right? So let's say I'm somebody who mainly just does the same thing every day. But most of my day is taken up by me scrolling. That's like on social media, just being on my phone, not really having like a set routine. But I want to better my life, right? I want to have a routine. I want to start eating better. I want to start sleeping earlier. Where do I start? Because it's easy for, let's say, like me, who I physically feel ill when I have to sit down for a little bit. I actually have time to relax and not do anything. That's when I start to like freak out, and it's like, oh shit, like I should be doing something.
Right.
But what about for somebody who is the opposite, where they don't do much, and when they start to take on a little bit more responsibility for their life, they start to feel like that way. They feel sick.
Well, I think, and this goes back to if this person in the scenario is a bit of self-aware and knows that the phone, I guess, is what you're spending the most time on, it would have to be like the priority because that's like your biggest concern, right? So TikTok has like screen time, you know, I have mine for 45 minutes. Do I skip it all the time? Fuck yeah. But, you know, it has that option to where you can limit your own time on whatever. And I guess going back to like, once you do that, you can start fixing the sleeping schedule, which would probably be at least my second thing, where it was like, okay, I'm going to have a set time that I'm going to go to bed at. And I mean, if you if you go to bed late, so you know how on your iPhone you have like the bed app or whatever the fuck, the sleep tracker. I make sure mine is at least 7 to 8 hours, and it's always set from like 11 to 7 a.m. And yeah, it goes past sometimes or whatever, but you can also track, because it knows, I don't know how, but it knows when you go to bed because you stop using the phone and then when you pick it back up. So usually that's what I go based off of, where it was like, okay, I know I need at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I could go to bed at 1 a.m. That means I'm going to wake up at 7 hours from now, which could be later in the day, which is fine. But I think just getting into that routine of, okay, well, I know I have to have at least this set hour of sleep time, whatever time that is, I'll wake up at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's where I would go from there. And it's just like, oh shit. It's not always going to be perfect. I know that. But I think incorporating very little things that you could do every single morning before, let's say, you open your phone, or let's say you're on your phone for 2 hours before you get up out of bed.
Fuck.
Like, people do it, and that's fine as long as you're aware of, I have to do this next when I get out of bed. So let's say brush your teeth, you know, and people say it takes 21 days to form a habit.
Is that really?
I think
21?
so. And I think just doing very small things. Okay, meal prepping. I don't know if meal prepping is something that people do, or something that people would want to do. But I think also just, did you say this person wanted to eat healthier?
I'm just talking like, I guess like when I think of better habits for your own self, eating healthier is usually one of those habits.
Right. Or even eating it at all at like the right times. Because I know some of you guys only eat once a day. Stop. Stop. And I mean, eating at all is a good, you know, like I'm happy that you're at least getting one meal a day. And then if you just want to eat healthier and stuff, like up it, you know, you have to want things for yourself, like want better for yourself. So, I think just being conscious.
And
self-aware.
do you feel like you have a pretty good routine right now? Like, are you proud of like the habits that you formed right now at this age? You can be honest. You can be like, nah, I don't eat healthy at all. I don't do this. I don't do that.
I think I've only started to form habits that are good for me up until probably 2 years ago. Because I think from the ages of like 16, I would say like 15, 16, up until I was like 22, I was in this like extremely very dark depression. And it wasn't until like I was saying like 2 years ago, I was fucked up. And I was like, I have to want better for myself because no one's going to do this but me. Like, this isn't affecting anyone but me. And I just didn't want to live that way anymore. And I just started really small, you know? And
it starts with just one habit.
It starts with one habit, yeah. And I know that I live by myself for a minute, and that's when I was kind of like, I don't want this shit. Like, I don't even like the way I'm living right now, and I have to change, you know? So it was stuff like that. I've picked up like hobbies and stuff that I feel like have really helped and whatnot. Like cooking was one of them. Like I did not cook like this before. So I think up until like, 2 years ago, I wasn't doing any of that shit. And now I would say that I am doing things that I like and that are better for myself. So
I'm glad that you brought up, not glad to hear that you went through all that, but I'm glad that you brought it up because I wanted to ask you if you knew about this. So each zodiac sign, right, has 3 stages to it. Are you aware of this?
No.
So the stages of Pisces are fish.
You already
We're
looked
gonna
it
start
up.
with yours. Yeah, we're gonna start with yours. The stages of Pisces. The first one is fish. The second is darkness, and the third one is ocean. So I'm gonna read these to you. So the fish, and these usually go from like the fish being the undeveloped, the darkness being when you're going through it, and the ocean being when you've evolved and like you're aware of all your feelings and like everything that you've kind of been through already, and you can cycle through these stages again in your life. Okay, so the fish. The main symbol of the Pisces sign is the fish. Pisces people are extremely emotional personalities, akin to a fish being swayed around in a turbulent sea. They're not always sure of how to handle their emotions and end up splurging their feelings all over the place. They are gentle souls with a dark side, and time will come when the darkness will trump over light, causing them to drop into a state of sadness and intense disappointment. So would you say like that? This is usually the first stage is usually before you even like begin looking into all this stuff because that's already who you are as a person before you're aware of all your like bad faults, I guess.
Right.
And then there's the darkness. Darkness becomes the safest option for a Pisces at this point because they are afraid of causing others pain. They descend to a place where they would have no interactions with others and wait for their breakthrough to come, and it eventually does. And then the ocean. At this point, a Pisces realizes that the initial terror at the fish stage could be turned into a source of power. Instead of being terrified of the waves, they could rule it, taking advantage of the power of the ocean and how it merges with their true nature. A Pisces at this point becomes vastly powerful and takes the reins of their lives. They begin to control their emotions more and become strong sources of power and energy to others.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome? Because like based off of what you're saying right now, it's like literally we heard you talk about those 3 stages all in the last like 5 minutes. So I just think it's very interesting to see that a lot of this stuff truly does line up with who you are and the fact that you're becoming very aware of it. You know, you're very aware of from the conversations that we've had over the past year, I feel like you become very much aware of your emotions and how to like channel that energy into your creative outlets.
Yeah.
But
wow.
I think it's very interesting that a lot of this, like, I know people like, there's a lot of people who look at all the zodiac stuff and astrology in general and just like, oh, it's like
A bunch of bullshit.
general bullshit that can anybody can relate to. But when you start to break break it down and like look at all these little, I don't even know,
Like,
like
it's so
synchronicities.
specific.
Yeah,
Right, right.
exactly.
Like, there's no way this shit is not true. You really think that
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a science behind it. Like
Yeah.
astrology isn't just.
I mean, people say it's a pseudoscience,
What does that
but
mean?
pseudoscience, it's like, it's based off like the moon and the sun, which is like science and stuff, but people don't really think it's factual, if you will. Like you were saying, like very general and stuff, but I believe in it. I believe in it. So,
100%. Yeah.
but did you have one for yours?
Yes.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I'll send this website into the Discord too, so people can look at their own. So the stages of Scorpio are Scorpion, Eagle, and Phoenix. So the Scorpios are born with an unnatural amount of power and ability. They are strong and able to integrate their instincts with learned knowledge to achieve nearly impossible goals. Sometimes they win, other times they lose, but they forge ahead regardless. At some point, when the failure becomes too much to bear, a Scorpio will descend into a dark place where they are unable to move or thrive. Finally, they realize that this is a meaningless way to live, and they transition to the next stage. The next stage being the eagle. Eagles are known in nature for their ability to soar amazingly and their extremely powerful vision. No matter how high it flies, an eagle will see everything on the ground. Scorpios are not known for indecisive behavior, and either they are too low or too high. When they blast into the eagle phase, they just fly higher and higher, seeking out a state of success where nothing can stand in their way. No matter how badly the odds are placed against them, they find a way to ride higher and succeed. And then finally, the phoenix. At the apex of their intellectual success, Scorpios become like phoenixes. In folklore, the phoenix is a bird that regenerates itself from its own burnt ashes. Scorpios let go of all the pain, hurt, failures, and disappointment and reach the height of spiritual transformation by realizing their true potential.
What phase do you think you're in right now?
I feel like I'm kind of like in between the eagle and the phoenix, because there's another website that I found specifically for my sign. Dude, I've read so much into my own shit, it's crazy. But the scorpion is usually related to being a very mean person, because you are aware that you're very manipulative, and you take that and you
And run
run
with
with
it.
it. And like that's what you based all your success on. And I would say that's very true in my sense, because I was not that like I was aware of being manipulative, but
You knew you had it in you.
like I knew I was able to get my way if I really wanted to.
Right.
And so like that was a huge fault of mine, and that was one of the first things that I worked on in therapy. I was like, this is an issue that I have and I don't like it, and like how can I guess not use it to my advantage, but how can I redirect it in a way where it's not really manipulation, but it's me actually getting what I want by what? By me truly wanting it. Because usually I would do things like let's say I chose to fucking take up pottery. I only took up pottery because I wanted to show this person that I was better than them at it. And I'm going to become the best fucking pottery person I ever can, just to prove that person wrong.
Right.
So instead of like doing things for other people to prove them wrong or right, I'm just gonna do it for myself, which is where I'm in right now. Like I'm
Right.
doing stuff for myself. So I feel like I'm somewhere between Eagle and Phoenix, because I have started my own like spiritual journey transformation, but I'm not exactly all the way there yet, because I still feel like I have a lot more work to do in this physical realm, and like set up my successes for later in life.
Yeah.
So I'm still like in between, but.
Dude, that makes me so excited. I feel like I feel like over the year, I guess that we have been doing this, you could literally tell and see and hear it in your voice, just the changes that you've gone through and what you're gonna continue to do in the future, because you were this one person when we started, and like now hearing you say all this, like Stop. I'm so excited. Like, I don't think a year ago, Jason, I would have imagined you saying literally any of this, So I'm really excited.
So I guess that brings me to my next question, which was, what did you expect out of our relationship? Like, out of this friendship, right? Because, like, if you basically, like, what kind of person did you expect to grow with me on this podcast? Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I think in general, I understand the question. Dude, I had no idea. I have no idea. I really thought we were going to stay in the same mindsets that we had back then, which were, and I also, like, my own mindset was very limited, So I was like, well, this is going to be cool. This is going to be something that, yeah, we can grow with together. But not knowing what I know now, I didn't know it was going to get like this. I thought it was going to be very, like, business forward and, like, this and that and whatever, but not to the point where, like, we're very good friends. At least I feel like we are. And I felt like we were really good friends back then. And I didn't know it could have been more. Does that make sense? I thought we were just going to stay in that place, but we didn't. So.
And it's weird because I feel like when we were thinking about starting this podcast, we were good friends, but it seems like I guess I'm very reluctant on using the word good because I saw us more as just friends rather than good friends. Because I felt like I didn't even know you before really diving into, like, the podcast and, like, asking you questions and, like, learning more about you.
Right.
But
that's what I'm saying.
I
I thought we were good friends, but, like, not to this extent, So I agree. I feel like we didn't know too much about each other just because when we started being friends, it was more of like a business standpoint, if you will. Because, like, we just worked together and stuff like that, which I'm just like, oh, you know what? He'd be cool to, like, hang with. But I didn't know it was gonna be like this.
read into, like, all this stuff, right?
And I would say the pod, like, definitely brought that out. There was a lot of stuff that I was like, wait, what the fuck? I didn't know your fucking middle name until last episode.
Do you have a middle name?
No.
No?
I kind of always wanted one, though. My mom's the only one that has one. It's Maria. But, yeah. Someone give me one.
Don't
a cool
ask
one.
for that.
Damn.
So yesterday I was washing my car and I had this thought, right? Random ass thought. And this again goes back to us talking about, like, how we just get these thoughts sometimes. And I was like, I wonder if the crew of Jackass, remember how we talked about Jackass, the movies and stuff? Like, if the crew now, because they're much older, damn near, like, almost 50, if they were to make, like, one last movie, and how would that movie play out now that they're older? Like, would the stunts be less dangerous?
Risky.
Yeah, like, a lot less risky. Like, what would they do? And also, how are the relationships between those guys? Because maybe some of them, like, truly feel like they had some interviews where some of them admitted that they had, like, PTSD and shit because they couldn't fall asleep on set because they had to be scared of being pranked, and that shit over the years has to follow you into, like, your actual, like, personal life,
Right?
Because they would have no limits. They would go into each other's houses and, like, do this shit, right? So I was like, I wonder if some of them, like, actually don't even fuck with each other, like, on that level, like, it's just for TV. And anyways, I was thinking all this, and I was just like, all right, whatever, back to clean my car. Tell me why I go watch Candyman later, and I'm watching the previews, and there's a new Jackass movie coming out with this exact same scenario. They're much older. They're even talking about, like, yeah, like, you should only be worried about, like, Steve-O, you should only be worried about concussions after the age of 50. And what the fuck is this dude's name? The main guy, I forgot his fucking name, but he was like, but he's only 49, he's fine. But with, like, shit like that, I'm like, dude, and I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, I thought this exact same thing earlier in this fucking day. Like, what the hell?
Fucking Matrix, dude.
Bro, I swear. And I had therapy today in the morning, and I was telling her, like, I feel like I have these thoughts very frequently.
Regularly?
Yeah, where I would think of something or I would think of someone just randomly, and I would either get a text from them or a call from them, or just like something happens where that shit comes to fruition. And she was and I appreciate that she's into astrology as well, because I don't sound crazy telling her all this stuff.
Yeah.
She can see it for what it is. And she's like, well, naturally water signs are very intuitive.
Yes.
And like the more aware you become of your intuition, the stronger it becomes, and the more you practice it, and the more you just let it take over. And so she was like, maybe like just try honing in on that. And the next time you get a thought about somebody or whoever, let's say like I thought of you yesterday, send that person a text or call them and just ask them how they're doing.
So my question is, like, when she said honing in on it and practicing it, would that be a way of practicing your
It's giving
intuition?
into it, right?
Oh, okay.
Like if you ever just randomly think of something like, like that was weird, like I don't know why I just randomly thought about them.
Right.
Reach out to that person.
Because I genuinely also think I have like very good intuition, and I'm always like, oh, like I want to do that more. I just don't know how, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just like giving into it, I guess, and just trusting your gut.
I like this.
Because the more you ignore your gut, the less you're gonna follow your intuition.
Right.
Because you're not really sure, but your gut's never gonna steer you wrong. It's only gonna lead you to the right path.
Going back to the intuition, and I don't know if this happens to you, or I don't know if you also feel the same way, but me as a Pisces, I feel like I am never really wrong about people. Do you ever feel that about yourself? Because I'll give this example. Like my boyfriend, he's a social butterfly. You know, he can talk to anyone, whatever. And sometimes, you know, I get introduced and whatnot. And just off the bat, and it's not even me judging someone. It's like, it's more about their mannerisms and how they are, their tone and stuff like that, where I'm just like, I don't know about this person. And every single time that I've said that to myself, it's always been true, or at least a form of it is true. And I'm just like, yeah, there you go.
So I'm glad that you brought this up, because I asked, my therapist's name, by the way, is Tamika. So I asked Tamika this question. I was like, when do you know that, because she brought up the same exact example. She was like, I have this person that I know, but like right off the bat, I did not fuck with them. Like, she's like, I had no reason to.
Right.
Like they never did anything wrong to me, never even looked at me wrong. I just had a feeling. And I was like, when do you know that that's you? That's your intuition versus that when that's you projecting your own insecurities onto that person and you see yourself in them. And she says, when you can't check off a list, that's when you know it's like your intuition. So like this list being, have they done something wrong to me? No. Did they do something wrong to somebody I know? No. So like if you're just checking off all these lists and just a bunch of no's and you genuinely have no reason not to dislike them, yeah, I think I said that right. Then most likely it's like your intuition.
Damn. Yeah, because like sometimes I would tell him and be like, hey, like this person giving off bad
Something's that are
vibes.
wrong, yeah.
And he's like, oh, like you're being a hater, like you're whatever. And I was just like, no, like I don't even know them. Well, why would I hate on them? So it's just like stuff like that. And that's really interesting that she also had kind of a more specific way
an
of looking at
explanation
it.
to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
But you also have to be aware or like admit, I guess, when you're wrong, because there are times when I've like been introduced to somebody and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I really fuck with them for whatever reason it is. But then later on I get to know that I'm like, you know what? Most likely, I think most of the time it was me because again, I see myself in these people, and the reason why I don't like them is because when I first meet somebody, I'm not that trustworthy of them. I'm just very much to myself. And I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, if this was a group podcast, like within 3 people, I don't think I would be able to talk as much as I do when it's just you and I, because I don't do well in group settings, conversation wise. I only talk like this with like one-on-one. And I don't know what it is. I think like I feel like I can just pick up on people's energies, and if it's too many energies going on at once, I'm just not. It's too much
You're
for me.
almost
It's overwhelming.
paralyzed by
Yeah,
it.
definitely,
Yeah. Damn.
definitely. And I think when somebody isn't as like outspoken or social, I'm not that drawn to them. See, this is weird because sometimes I am. Like for Maria, for example, when I met Maria, she wasn't very outspoken at all. But I was like, I wanted to get to know her for some reason. I couldn't figure it out.
Something intriguing about her.
Something I didn't know what it was, and happens with people all the time. And as I got to know her, I found out that she isn't an outspoken person, and she's someone who just, when you talk to them one-on-one, though, it's much different. And I think like that's I don't know, that was me proving myself wrong, that I can't expect everybody to be outspoken, because that's what I look for versus who I am.
Right. See, I think this is also interesting. And I feel like I sometimes go through the same thing where I always change in certain situations. When I'm with let's say a person who's very outspoken, very outgoing, like let's say my boyfriend, for example, super outgoing, and I almost shut down. I like can't be that like, outspoken, social, whatever. But in other situations, I'm the social butterfly when it's someone that isn't that outspoken. And I'm just like, why? Why can't I just be like
That's
one thing?
interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if other people also go through that, where it's like, I don't know if it's like someone's energy or if it's mine, where I just shut down, or sometimes I thrive. You know.
Well, like, remember how you said? Let me make sure this shit's still recording, because yeah. Remember how you said in your family, I think when your boyfriend came around and when your sister's fiance came around, you felt like you had to be the voice and like
The
you had
entertainer,
to,
yeah.
right? So but now when you're with your boyfriend and he's the entertainer, he's the voice, like you're no longer that.
That makes a lot of
Subconsciously,
sense.
you're just like, I don't have to do that. Like, I'm good. I
Yeah.
can kind of just like chill out. You know?
What? Oh wait, hold on. I'm like rethinking everything, every situation I've
But the
ever
question
been in.
is, why do you need to be that
Why do I need to be the entertainer?
when someone else isn't?
It's probably like a people pleasing tendency that I feel like I have. And I think it also goes back to when I was a kid. And this was also going back to like me being painfully self-aware and reading people's expressions, like their micro expressions, all this stuff. Because when either of my parents came home and they were in a bad mood, I was like, ugh. You're in a bad mood, I'm gonna go into my room, you know? So as soon as someone walks in, I read it, I read their face, I read their body, and I'm just like, oh, this person's irked, you know, I don't really want to fuck with them. So I think going from there and being like, oh, okay, well, this person's irked now, you know, they're upset or whatever, or things are awkward in whatever setting, I don't have the option to, oh, now I have to go to my room. You know, I'm an adult now. So I think growing up now, I'm just like, okay, well, let's just make this better then. You know, let me make the situation better, where it was like, sometimes I don't have to, you know, like I don't have to fix everyone's mood and stuff like that. But I think sometimes it comes out, especially in family settings, because that's just like where it all like started.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's fucking crazy. Especially, dude, that people pleasing shit. Because that comes from being, not entirely being the middle child, but it plays a huge part in it.
Right. Like, I feel like a lot of the times people say that middle children are these, what are they called? The peacekeepers, you know? And I always felt like my older sister's not doing shit about this situation, or like if my mom or dad are like mad, or my little sister, she probably doesn't even notice or give a fuck, you know, but I do. And I'm like, oh, I have to be the one to make the situation better, you know? So
not to expose your family or anything, but did your parents fight? in front of you guys?
In front of us, yeah. I mean, like every family fights. You know, every parent fights and stuff with their significant other. But to your question, if they did it in front of us, they would sometimes.
So this changed my perspective a little bit, and I'm not the most comfortable of even saying this on the mic, but because I want to tell you this about your younger sister, because I think it's very important. Because I questioned that too. I was like, I wonder if my younger brother even like knows or thinks about this stuff, or like cares about this stuff, because he's like he's just in his room and he does his own thing, right? Doesn't get involved. And this is something that I again brought up to Tamika, and I was like, am I overthinking it? Like, do they actually care about what's going on? Do they think about this stuff? And she was asking me questions about like my parents and like their behavior and like them fighting. And she was like, you have to understand that your brother, even though he's not that much younger than you, probably felt the happiest when your parents weren't arguing, or like, how do I explain this? She put it so well together. But basically saying that the quiet when my parents aren't speaking feels so much better than when they are speaking to each other, like, or when they are cooperating as a couple. And so like when they aren't speaking at all, that silence is is so much better to my younger brother. And again, this might not even be true, because he wasn't the one in therapy, it was me. But she was trying to give me like a better perspective on their outlook. And so like that's why to them most of the time they just don't get involved, like don't really care to try and fix these problems, because I don't know, because like it's like the silence is much better than trying to fix it, because they know they know it's not their problem.
Damn.
Even though we take on that responsibility as the middle children for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, like this isn't like factual, or like it could be. She was just giving you a different, I guess, way to look at it, another perspective, which I think other people can probably, if that's the case, can relate to. So it's like good that you like gave this different perspective and stuff, because I would have never known that, you know. And if it's something that my sibling would probably think of or whatever, but I like that, you know.
I think I had this habit of not giving people enough credit, and I'm pretty sure it still shows sometimes in the way I say some things, but and like not giving my parents enough credit, not giving my brothers enough credit, because I'm sure Jonathan does think of these things. He just chooses not to act on it or engage, because at the end of the day, like, he knows it's not his problem. And again, because he doesn't have that same void that I have, that I need to fill to fix this situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
Shit's fucking intense. But
Too intense.
I was thinking we should pack a bowl and answer some Discord questions.
Hey, you bet.
What's up?
It's kind of loud already. I don't know what the fuck.
Dude, I can't explain the smell of this weed.
Remember when you told me that you had that one weed that smelled like, what did it smell like?
Like dog shit?
Yeah, like,
yeah,
is it that
dude.
one?
No, it's not this one. This smells like it's gonna put you to sleep.
Ooh,
You know what I mean?
I like that though. It's very earthy.
Yeah, there we go. That's the best way to put it. Not too strong.
Whoa. Okay, so, ooh, I hit that second one kind of hard. If you're not coughing, you're not smoking. I'm sorry. Oh, whoa, wait.
Bro.
You good?
Oh, okay. Shit.
Oh. If you guys see me with my tape, it's because we're starting to get paid on some shit. So if you're not paying me, I'm not showing you.
I think before we go into the questions, I wanted to give a little disclaimer because I personally feel like I have to. On the YouTube, you might start seeing some ads. I hope you don't hate us for the ads. I'm gonna try to make them 15 seconds, but if not, then just know that whatever money we do make from YouTube, we're honestly gonna try our best to like bring that back to you guys in some sort of way. So
Yeah, for sure. It's all going to come pretty much back to the pod, you know?
Definitely.
We only want it to get better.
Appreciate you guys.
Oh, let me see.
Damn, I'm fucking high.
What the fuck, bitch?
Fuck.
Okay, hold up. Question number 1 is by Maddie Boy Sol. How confident are you in your side profile? You're going to make us cry and throw up on here. The fuck? You go first.
We always show our side profile.
I guess how confident are you in it?
No, but we always show it.
Yeah. So, like, what's your verdict?
I'm not the most confident. It depends on the angle, dude. I mean, if it's like strictly side, I'm not the most confident. A little like 45-degree angle. All right.
Should we do a side profile reveal?
They have plenty. They got plenty.
Yeah, I would say same. Like on good days, I'm like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. But like at the end of the day, like who gives a fuck? You know, I'm just like whatever. Next question is from Enrique 2000. If you decide to have children, what is one thing you would take away from your parents' style of parenting, and what's one thing you will avoid doing?
What's one thing you would take away?
That I would use that my parents did? I would say like giving us the freedom, or giving the kids like the freedom to do anything they want within reason. Because growing up, I feel like I always said like, oh, my parents were super strict, this and that. But in hindsight, looking back, they had a reason to not let us do certain things. You know, did I rebel sometimes? Yeah, but I'm just like, well, my parents had my best interest, but they would let us do pretty much anything, hang out with friends, whatever. Couldn't go to sleepovers, but that's completely understandable now. So it was stuff like that.
Curfew at 10 type shit.
Curfew at like 11, even when we were younger. Yeah, because they were always like, you know, we trust you, and we know that when you say 11, you're gonna be here at 11.
Right.
You know, so starting up strong.
I agree with that. My parents were pretty lenient too, but we also knew not to break the rules at the same time. Like not to take
because you would know,
advantage.
like once I don't leave, or once I don't get home at 11,
That's it.
that's it.
Yeah, you're right.
What about you?
Something that my parents did, because they didn't have any girls, they had us do everything. So all the cleaning, all the gardening, all the like everything.
Yeah.
And so we grew up kind of
Doing
guess,
everything,
like-
doing both things.
No, we grew up like if I did have a sister, I wonder how different my life would be. So
That's
the fact
what I
that they
always
did
think.
that, and I hate that like they did that only because they didn't have a daughter. Like, I'd be pretty like pressed to today knowing that I could do all that, but I don't know how to do it. If I did have a sister, you know.
I get you.
I mean, I'd have a different mindset, I guess, but I guess
But
that.
do you really think your mom would be a toxica if you had a sister?
Fuck, dude, I don't know. In what way?
Like she would choose you over the daughter, and like make the daughter do like certain things, like ponte a limpiar, but like, oh, your brother can play games, like stuff like that.
I'd say to some extent. Yeah, I think to some extent, but I don't know, because like seeing my parents now, they would be upset if we didn't know how to do all those things. Like they're pretty proud that we do know how to do a lot of these things. So I don't know actually,
Yeah.
but I
But
hope not.
I would say same. Like Like my dad taught us how to like mow the lawn. He taught us how to change a tire, how to check our oil, shit like that. Just like, I guess, guy things, if you will, but it's stuff like that. And to this day, my dad always makes me lift like all the heavy shit, which makes me fucking pressed. Cause he'd be like, "Oh, like come help."
Oh, yeah, you tell me
but
that.
my sisters are like, "Nah." So I'm just like, "What the fuck?" Like me. But yeah. What's one thing that you would take away though, like that you wouldn't?
I wouldn't want to do. There was this video on TikTok that showed a kid being handed an egg, or like 3 or 4 eggs. The kid drops like 3 of them, and one of the comments was saying that I was so when the kid dropped the eggs, I was so nervous because I felt like they were about to get yelled at, and I feel like that's something that I do is like I do something bad, I'm like fuck, I kind of get like anxious about it because I might get yelled about it
Right.
or yelled at.
That makes so
yeah.
much sense because if it was, let's say, if you had gentle parenting, if you will, they'd be like, "Oh, like I messed up, but it's okay. Like no one's gonna yell at me.
Yeah.
They're just gonna fix it or like make it better."
Right.
Imagine if we had that mindset. Oh my God. That's when I see like videos of parents like doing the gentle parenting. I'm just like, I can't imagine how much of a good person your kid is probably going to be.
Right.
You know, or like how much better their psyche is going to be. So I'm just like, wow. Kids are different now, you know? But yeah.
How about you? What would be the one thing you take away?
I would say like not bringing up certain problems in front of the kids, you know? And I know that we talked about before, like, oh yeah, you know, all parents, I feel like at one point have fought in front of their children, but it's like when it's like certain things that you fight about and you do it in front of the kids, it's like, that could fuck them up, you know? So it's just stuff like that. Okay, next question. Oh, your most... No, because I have a good story for this. Your most embarrassing experience.
Go ahead, tell your story.
Oh, shit. Okay. So I'm going to try to make it quick, but there's layers to this shit. And I don't know. I have told you this story, but I don't know if you know it to the full extent. Back when I was a freshman in college, I'm going to expose myself, but I don't care. It's my own pod. Back when I was a freshman in college, I hooked up with this guy, and I thought, and it was freshman year, so we had just gotten out of high school, but like, come on, you felt it in the air that you're more of an adult for this shit, right? And whatever, hooked up with this guy that was in my own program because I didn't know anyone else outside of my own program. So whatever. Next time when we went to class, he had told everyone. And like, I think it got back to my roommate, and I think my roommate told me. And I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, yeah, like he told everyone. And that to me was a little embarrassing because it was like my whole class, right? And I got more pressed because I'm just like, dude, like you're such a child. You know, like who does that? And a lot of the people were just like, yeah, dude, like we don't give a fuck. Like he told us that when we thought he was weird because like, why would you say shit like that? And I'm just like, oh my God. It was terrible, but then I got over it. So I'm just like, who gives a fuck?
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. What's your most embarrassing experience?
Oh, I think I told you, I think I brought this up before about how the kid wanted to fight me. Remember I told you in middle school?
Oh, yeah.
That whole situation. And like that whole crowd being around us at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Like that shit was pretty embarrassing. Cause like you're just standing there and everyone's looking at you, just like what do y'all want? You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? My boyfriend, he made this, he told me this story like yesterday, I think, cause sometimes I'm just like, I can't like goof around with you cause you're too logical about certain stuff. And like, you're killing the fun. But, it was, I don't even know what it was, but I was like, oh, if you don't do this, like you're lame. And he was like, okay. And I was just like, no, you're not even going to try to fight it back. And he's like, no, like, and I guess in high school, he would be like that too, where the friend would be like, oh, like, do it or not, you're a pussy. And he would just be like, all right. And he would get so pressed. Like, he would just take it. He's like, I mean, what are they going to do, you know? And I was like, I guess you're right.
And you'd be the person like, I bet like I'm gonna go do it.
Right. I wouldn't be like, ooh, like, don't challenge me. Next question. What's one song that never fails to hype you up?
Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill.
No. I mean, I
You've
probably
never heard this
heard it. I
song?
probably heard it, but I don't know it by the name.
Dude,
I don't really
this
listen to
song-
Meek Mill.
This is like the only song you need to know by Meek Mill. This is like probably his best song. But that song.
Mine would have to be Roman's Revenge. With the Eminem feature though, because I need to hear the hate in his voice. Okay. See, this is the long one.
You've seen 8 Mile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think about it?
I mean, it's regular. It's
Solid
entertaining.
movie. I thought it was a solid movie.
Okay. How do you guys stay motivated to reach your goals? I think mine would have to be like just keeping a routine, you know. And always reminding myself that it's not if I reach my goals, it's when I reach them. You know,
Do you hear my chewing?
a little bit, yeah.
I'm gonna finish this first. I'm gonna answer the question.
People are probably hearing me. I'm gonna go. I'm like,
I had like 10 in my mouth, that's why. What motivates me? Is that the question? To keep going?
how do you guys stay motivated to reach your goals?
Well, I guess when I think in terms of the podcast, I'll use the podcast as an example. I think about the potential of what it could be and what I would miss if I stopped right now. I think that's like how I look at situations and I'm like, is it really worth it? Like, will I be happy in 1 year or 2 years if I stop this at this moment and do something else? And so, and usually if my answer is like, yeah, I'll be fine, then I just wouldn't do it anymore. Like I
Right.
would find an exit or whatever. But if my answer is like, no, I would be pretty upset if I stopped doing what I was doing and did something else. I'm sorry, I'm like high as fuck right now. Give me a second.
I know what you mean. I understand your explanation, and I also think it's a good thinking that way is a good reminder that you actually want to do what you want to do. You know, because if you're like
Exactly.
really serious and this is something that you're really passionate about, you would obviously keep going.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. That's exactly how I wanted to put it. Thank you.
anyways, next question. Would you let your kids smoke, and at what age?
Dude, I saw some of the responses to this question. I was shook. I was like, fuck. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be a bad parent, but I personally know that, I don't know. I guess the whole like thing with weed and the brain development is that your brain doesn't stop growing till you're like 25.
Right.
And so you smoking weed anytime before that is physically going to be damaging.
We're all out here
But-
just stupid.
But I can't also ignore that I started smoking when I was 21. So
Right.
how can I be the person to say, no, you can't, when I'm the person who did it?
Right. And, you know, I really debated this question, and because personally I started smoking at like 14, and looking back, I'm like, I should not have been doing that like at 14. Like my brain is definitely altered from it, and I know a lot of people started smoking really young. I went to school with kids that started smoking in like 5th grade, and I mean, you look at them now and you think like, oh, weed doesn't fuck you up, like it doesn't fuck you up. Like when you're a kid and you're still growing, it
Yeah.
does, and it shows now.
Yeah.
So I would say I would want my kid to at least be 18. You know?
I thought 18 was a good age.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wouldn't want to hide the fact that I do smoke if I do
Right.
continue smoking later on, because I would want them to see that it isn't something you should be ashamed of. It's something that
You
is
have
a
to be safe
medicine,
about.
and you and be intentional with it. You know, whatever all
Right.
the your reasons are for it. But anyway, yeah.
Good. Nice. Next question. The last no skip album you've heard. I'll say mine. Mine is Donda, but it just came out, so I listened to it through and through. Okay, I lied. I skipped the first song because it's creepy, but other than that, through and through.
I've only gotten to like the third song on that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got to go through it.
I got you. I'm gonna try to do it tonight, to be honest. I think Kid Cudi's latest album that just came out.
Like,
It was raining that night too, so that made it even better.
Okay. Next question is, what's your go-to meal while high? Like that you make while high, or that you would want to eat while high? There's a difference, because if you have to make one while high, like if you can function, then make a like solid meal. But if not, have it be like a shitty meal, but like still good enough to eat.
Let's do both.
Okay.
What would be the one that you'd make?
If I was good in my senses.
Because you smoke as you cook, right? Mm-hmm. So like I guess it would still hit you like a decent time.
I know,
into
like
cooking.
I would be able to make it. It would just take me a really long time.
Yeah.
But I would probably make like tacos dorados.
Good pick. Good pick. Oh, you know what? Because of what the fuck is that place called? It's not Parlor. Is it the pizza? What the fuck is it called?
Jet's Pizza,
No.
Little Caesars.
No.
Wait, what are you saying?
The pizza at the bar up north in Logan. What's it
Oh,
called?
Boiler Room?
Boiler Room. Dude, their baked mac and cheese. Tell me that shit isn't fire. I think baked mac and cheese is like the go-to.
Yum. Should
Like
we
a
do
trash meal? Not Little Caesars. Maybe a Little Caesars.
I would probably
but-
say like trash meal, either Little Caesars but Little Caesars breadsticks. I don't want
Yeah,
to do the
fire.
whole pizza. I would just do the breadsticks.
Really? I would want
Yeah.
some pizza.
Or I would have a Burger King chicken sandwich. Those are fire, dude. Stop. They're pretty decent.
I'll stick with Little Caesars.
Okay, last question for sure. How do you balance your social life and spending time with family? And I'm going to give their example. My immediate family, parents and siblings, are very close-knit, but I'm 24 and enjoy going out every day with friends or just by myself, and feel a constant guilt if I have plans but my family wants to go to dinner or had dinner without me.
I've had to something that my family has gotten very well adjusted to now is my mom has to basically like if she wants us to like have dinner or something, she has to plan ahead. Like she needs to find out what's everyone's schedule, because it's no longer like
Like
It's-
everyone's at the house and like you just
right,
know.
and when none of us have schedules and stuff, like we're basically like we're all have different completely unique schedules. So I guess like that would be one thing. So just maybe having some sort of like calendar or some shit. I don't know.
Okay. See, I like this logical route that you take, because I feel like mine isn't like that. I feel like I more base it off my emotions, if you will.
Okay.
Because I would say I have a really big problem with this, just because like to me my family is like everything, right? And moving out, I guess at 18, I was kind of like, I feel really bad, and I feel like I'm like not abandoning them, but it's really how it feels like. It feels like this guilt where it's like, oh, I'm not spending enough time with them, or like almost because you feel like you owe them something, you know? And I a lot of the times forget where it's like, okay, you can do your own thing. Like, it's okay if you don't go and hang out with them, you know, like on your Sunday dinner, if you skip one Sunday dinner or whatever. And to me, I just feel so guilty, and I just have to remind myself that, like, it's okay. Like, I'll see them soon. But you also have to, like, live your own life, you know? So if you just can't, you can't. But to me, it's very emotional. And I allow myself to feel the guilt and the whatever, but then still going with what I want to do. So that's kind of how I guess I balance it by just, you know, reminding myself.
Would you say that your family has noticed that too? Like, are you the only person who does that in your family that you're aware of, I guess?
I don't know. Maybe someone else, but I'm not aware that anyone else does that of my sisters. But yeah, I don't know if my parents know or not. My parents are very much like, you know, if you can't come, it's okay. Like, we'll see you. So I think maybe they have. You know. So I don't know. Or maybe they don't even think of that stuff, and they're just like,
Right.
yeah, just don't even think about it. Like, don't, whatever. Oh, okay. So I do want to do like the giveaway thing. I want to tease it now.
Oh, shit.
If you will, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be done in the next 2 days, if you will. So hopefully by the time this episode comes out, and for the weekend, you guys will know the next giveaway, and we're really excited for this one. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny, but it's looking cool. But
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you guys will know more details later on. Cool. Thanks,
See
guys. Last question. Oh, sorry. I just read that one. Okay, last question for real. How do you balance your social life and spending time with family? I'm going to give their example. My immediate family, parents and siblings, are very close-knit, but I'm 24 and enjoying going out every day with friends or just by myself, and feel a constant guilt if I have plans, but my family wants to go to dinner or had dinner. Oh my God. Or had dinner without me. Can I say the whole thing over again, please? I'm going to say it over again. Okay. You have to cut this out, please. I beg of you. Okay. I'm going to say it again.
It's okay. Take your time. Take your time.